Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Mac and Talk number 58 for Tuesday, May 28th, 2024. I am your host, Chanelle Allen. Mac and Talk is a Q&A conference call for anyone with Mac questions, wherever you may be on that Mac journey. I am glad that you are joining us now or later on via the podcast recording. And before we actually get to the fun part where we take your questions on anything and everything having to do with the Mac, I'd just like to go over a few announcements. First, you can find us in various places on the web. The best place is our website, ibugtoday.org, where you can register to become a member. Registration is free. Participation in all training, workshops, and social events is free. You'll also find a current events link to know what's up and coming. I'm sure the next month's events will be posted shortly. And you can find links to access Mac and Talk, where you'll find our previous recordings and info about our Mac and Talk email list. We're also on Facebook, facebook.com/groups/ibugtoday. That's a great place to exchange information, and our announcements are posted there as well. On Twitter, X and Instagram, we are at iBugToday, and our X feed is kept up by Herbie Allen, who posts lots of relevant Mac and Apple news. If you like to listen to things on YouTube or watch things on YouTube, you can find us there as well. Just search for iBugToday when you go into YouTube. And what's great is we have playlists for our different workshops, as well as a playlist for the previous iBug Mac training course, which we were just talking about. And if you like podcasts, if you just want to be able to tell your smart speaker, hey, play iBug Buzz, play iBug Apple Workshop, iBug Mac and Talk, or iBug Cafe, or put those items into your podcast catcher of choice, then you may do so. As far as events coming up this week, on Thursday, it's iBug's Life. Or am I mixing that up? It's iBug's Life. That's right. From 7 to 9, it is facilitated by advanced iBug member George Batiste on daily living skills and adaptations. And the topic is shopping, and I believe he's going to a store. On Friday, iBug Night at the Virtual Movies, always beginning at 7:15, with Michael's Argle Bargle, I just like saying that word, pre-movie trivia and jokes and all that, followed by the movie at 8, which is Rebel Without a Cause, and then trivia and discussion after the movie. On Saturday, I also believe we have iBug Unplugged, and that's from 8 to 10, where we are doing 2 truths and a lie. It's a great way to get to know everyone. And then, as always, every Monday, you can join us for iBug Buzz from 7 to 9 p.m. By the way, all those events I'm talking about and the times I'm giving are central, and they take place at the same Zoom link. So you got into Mac and Talk tonight, you can get into all of our other 21 or however many events we have. Every Monday is iBug Buzz from 7 to 9 p.m. Next Tuesday, if you didn't quite get enough of the Mac from this call, or if you think of additional questions brought up by topics this week, then you can join Herbie for Mac Buzz the first and third Tuesday of the month from 5 to 6 p.m. Central. And I believe that is everything we have going on for now. Our month is wrapping up, another busy one ahead. iBug will be at the conventions coming up, and more details will be announced about that. But for now, let's go around the virtual Zoom room, say who you are and where you are calling from, and if you are joining us for the first time. I am Chanelle, and I live in Houston.
This is Herbie in Houston, and part of Houston used to be a swamp, which is why it is so humid, in case anybody wanted to know.
And good evening, Raheel. Welcome.
Yeah, and I live in New York, and you know how it is. Hot, cold, hot, cold.
Yep.
Whatever it is.
All right. Great to have all of you and your various weather conditions.
I'm
next?
Jasmine, and I am calling from Michigan, which is similar.
Hi, Jasmine.
I'm Robert, I'm calling from Chandler, Arizona, and it's in the hundreds.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name.
Robert.
Robert, I think you were here before. Welcome back.
Thank you.
This is Brad. I'm at Dallas. Oh, sorry, Brad.
Go ahead, okay, Desi, Brad, sorry. Welcome.
This is Desi in Franklin, Tennessee.
Welcome, Desi.
This is Philomena in Florida.
Philomena, welcome.
Thank you.
Yes, my name is Benjamin, and I'm from Houston.
Welcome, Benjamin.
Dan from Southern California.
Welcome, Dan.
Cliff, Central Texas.
Hi, Cliff. Welcome.
This is Deanna, and I'm from Illinois.
Welcome, Deanna.
This is Anicio this week in New York.
Hi, Anicio. All right, welcome.
This is Davida from Northern Virginia.
Welcome, Davida.
This is Sunny Rex from Vancouver, Washington.
Sunny, hello. I think I recognize your voice from the ACB Presents. Welcome. Anyone else? All right. Well, anyone, you can always feel free to say hi later. And right now, though, we will get started with questions. So who wants to undertake the task of asking the first question tonight? I am happy that all of you are here.
This is Desi, and I guess I'll jump in.
Go ahead.
I have had occasion to fill out a couple of forms online in the last few days. And in each case, at one point or another, I would get an alert that would pop up to give me some kind of information. And I could read the alert all right, but I could not figure out how to get rid of it once I read it.
So you couldn't, was it just constantly speaking, saying the alert, or you just couldn't get past the alert to whatever you needed to fill out?
I couldn't seem to get past the alert once it was there. Yeah.
Okay. Has anyone had experience or haven't any suggestions for Desi on filling out a web form and trying to dismiss those annoying alerts?
This is Brad.
Yes, Brad.
Well, not being on the form, just a stab in the dark. I mean, a lot of times the escape key, believe it or not, might close them. You also might try interacting, VO shift up arrow.
Right, right. This is Herbie.
That's what Herbie's got.
Okay, go ahead, Herbie.
Sometimes the tab key works as well, or going away from Safari and coming back to it. Usually what triggers those alerts is, I've seen this on Google Forms where, it notices you didn't fill out something. It's like, you gotta, fill this out before you can continue, and it's rather annoying. But I have seen that before occasionally.
One of my ones,
annoying.
This is Desi again, one of my ones that came up today was, this has been created for you, but then it was like some kind of an image, and I couldn't figure out what had been created.
So this is Herbie.
Yes, Herbie.
One thing that is automatically created for you is passwords. So if you're in a password field, Safari will automatically create a password for you. And what you have to do is, if you don't want to use its auto-generated one, you have to VO right to where it says. I think I have to see it in front of me to really know exactly what to tell you what to do step by step. But go to where it says
Brad.
use strong password.
I always hit escape to get rid of those. Safari has created a strong password for you. I just hit escape and it goes away.
Yeah, I always tell it use my own password, and that makes it go away.
Well, this is Desi again. Actually, it didn't say it was a password. And it made a funny little noise too when it said, this has been created for you. I've seen the ones about a strong password has been created. And
Right.
actually, I usually use those because
Me
Me
too.
too.
You got
because
to be
I can't
careful with those sometimes.
because
I let one create one for the Southwest Airlines,
uh-huh.
and Southwest Airlines wouldn't take it.
Oh.
And I could not log into my account anymore.
Ugh.
And what I
Uh-oh.
had to do was use the forgot password, and because I went and saved it. So every time I would go, if I went to the website, and the same thing on my iPhone, um, it would automatically populate.
Mm.
So I had to, do what I had to do to, just get it out of there, and did just do forgot password and went back and gave it a terribly simple, awful password so at least I could log in, and then I could change it to something a little bit better. But
So
yeah, it did not like, I don't know what it was it didn't like. If it didn't like, I think it didn't like the dashes, because the Safari strong password has some
It
letters and numbers,
does.
a dash, some letters and numbers, a dash. I think it's either four groups of 5 characters, something like that, with the
yep.
dashes separating the groups. And I don't know if that was it. And then I knew somebody else. They were all mad and were talking about how bad Southwest Airlines was. And I said, when you first logged in, he said, yeah, let Safari create a password. I said, that's the problem. They changed it and they had no problem. So be careful sometimes with
Good to
those.
know. So this is Herbie. We're getting off topic a little bit. Where I will tell you where I struggle is if I create an account within an app and then keychain, create like on the phone, and then I want to go back in and log in onto the service like with Safari. That's where I can have issues with passwords like that. But we're getting off topic here.
Yeah.
So going back to your thing, Desi. So it wasn't even a password field, like you said. It was something else.
Yeah, I don't think it was a password. I couldn't tell because it was an image and
Right.
I didn't know what it was.
One thing I don't know if this would be a factor or not. Changing how VoiceOver interacts with the cursor can like that was sometimes a solution with Amazon and its pop-ups in the past. And you can change that in the VoiceOver settings, in the VoiceOver utility, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's that one that says mouse pointer, and
Yes.
then you change it to ignores voiceover cursor.
Yes.
Although I saw on a list the other day, some people like to have it at followed. So I think it just is really, you
The
try
only
one
reason why
way and
I
it,
even changed it was because of the issue we were having on like the Amazon website where
yeah,
that thing would constantly pop up.
yes. Sometimes things would pop up and like on the Amazon site and be difficult to dismiss. And
They
so,
have
Yes.
mouse overs, is what they
Otherwise,
call them.
yeah, and so it's for that reason why I even would have changed. Otherwise, I don't know if I ever would have changed it.
I think, yeah. All right. Well, sorry, Desi,
Thank
that
you.
wasn't much help. Let us know if it comes back or if there's some other more specific thing, and we can try to help you more next time.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Okay. Who would like to ask our next question?
Raheel?
I would.
Oh, well, I heard Raheel, and then is it Sunny?
Yes, I'll go second, not a big deal.
Okay, if you're okay. Well, you're okay. Well, let's take Raheel real quick because I said I would, and then we'll go to Sunny.
Okay, so when I do the TSA Cares form for like for my flight and all that stuff. Oh shoot! It just said my hand is raised. What?
It's okay. Just go on with your question.
So with Safari, I noticed that it won't let me continue, but then when I use Microsoft Edge, it's accessible. Why is that?
This is
Diff-
Herbie.
okay, go ahead, Herbie.
Different browsers will display things in different ways. There's a couple things that, for instance, I find Chrome works a little bit better for, like the Dropbox website. And it just has to do with how the browsers present the information. I think like Safari will group more things together, whereas Chrome, for instance, like tends to like ungroup them, and I think that is the best. That's how I've kind of seen it at least. So
Spread.
Yes, Brad.
It's like Chrome and Edge are what they call Chromium based, and like Herbie was saying, it has to do with how the browser renders the code. And Safari is not Chromium based; it's different. And I have found many times there's a website that I cannot access well with Safari. They're not that it's few and far between, but if I open the same website in Chrome, I'm it's not perfect, but I'm able to access it and get done what I need to do. So it's a good
Right.
idea to have more than one browser on your Mac for just this reason.
Okay, because I was wondering like how I could talk to the TSA Cares representative because the representative isn't going to know like what accessibility is and what voiceover is and all that. I usually call the 855-787-2227 phone number. That's for the TSA Cares.
Hmm.
You know, they're not going
Well,
to
it
know
sounds,
all that.
yeah, it may just be a general thing with the TSA website if you can submit feedback about the TSA website. But yeah, that's why I think Brad's suggestion of always making sure you have multiple browsers to try as people who are blind or low vision, we have to have several tools in our toolbox. So thank
Yeah.
you. Sunny, what's your question?
Yes, I'm hopefully gonna get a MacBook Pro in my hands in the next 3 weeks, and I'm wondering when is
Oh,
your next intro to Mac class start, and how do I get a hold of the um mentor through the iBug program?
okay. So the next Mac class will begin in September. And this is it's a group class. So we don't, unlike the iBug, the Jumpstart Mentoring Program is for people learning their iOS device, and we match people up one on one to work with a mentor. But with the Mac program, we just have a training class, with other students. But we definitely, do our best to. It's not one on one instruction, but anyway, the best way, if you want to be in that class, is if you just email me, and my email is on the iBug Today website, or just find an email on that site and say something about Mac training, and they will forward it to me. So we'd love to have you in the next class if that works out.
It should.
Yes,
Thank
hello,
you
this is
so
Benjamin.
much.
You're
You hope
welcome.
to be like Herbie.
Hmm?
I said that's how Herbie got started. Look how he turned out.
yep.
Yes, this is Benjamin.
Yeah,
Um,
Benjamin.
so I can just reply to that email that was sent to me about this course because I'm a new iBug or a new Apple user all the way around, and I'm trying to use my first MacBook Pro. And I was thinking about putting search engines on my uh, MacBook Pro. And so what you're basically saying is that it's good to have the Edge and the Chrome on there simultaneously.
So those are web browsers, not search engines.
Okay.
But yeah, and so it's good to have Safari as the default browser built into your Mac. But instead of replying to that email, if you can, go on to the iBug Today website and send a separate email saying that you want to be in the class. And all the sessions take place over Zoom. Like I said, it's not one on one, it is a class, but we'd love to have you if you are interested. If so, are you totally new also to using an iPhone and using the accessibility features like VoiceOver?
I've been using the iPhone for a while now, but
Okay.
I've realized that the Mac platform is way different because when I got my MacBook Pro, I tried some of the same gestures and they didn't work. Some of them did, some of them didn't. But
Right.
what's the name of that YouTube channel that I could subscribe to that you were saying earlier?
Yeah, just search for iBug Today on YouTube.
I love today. Okay. All right.
Yep.
Thank you.
And
Okay.
visit our website, ibugtoday.org, and you will find a way to contact us about training. So, all right. Thank you very much, Sunny and Benjamin. Love to have you in an upcoming class. Who else has another Mac question?
If they don't, then I'm going to have to ask a very challenging one. So,
Please don't.
This is Dan.
Yes, Dan, go ahead.
How do I install Chrome on the Mac?
Oh.
This is Brad.
Hi. Yeah, Brad, go ahead.
Well, you're going to need to download it. It's not in the App Store. I recommend going to Google and search in your search bar, type in Google Chrome for Mac space download, and it will take you pretty much to you'll probably get some search results, and probably the top one will be something to the effect of download Google Chrome for Mac or something like that. And then you'll download it and you'll put it in your downloads folder. It is a DMG file, and you know how to use those, I assume. But that'll get it on your computer for you. I've also learned that if I have an installer I downloaded 6 months ago, I try to install it on another Mac, or when I downloaded it, never got to it, it's going to tell me it's too old and I have to go re-download it because it will update, and it's like a loaf of bread you had sitting around for too long, it grows stale or something. I don't know, but you'll need to install it pretty much right away, because if they update it, it'll tell you you'll get an alert when you try to open it that it can't be opened. It's too old.
I like that analogy. So, tell me again, what do I put in the search
Just
bar?
something. Just in your open Safari and in the search bar, the address bar, type
right.
Google Chrome for Mac download and hit enter. And you'll get a page of Google search results, and it'll probably be pretty much right up at the top, the first thing.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Great. Oh, I love to just use Safari for everything, but there are times when, yeah.
Yeah, so this is Herbie.
Yes, Herbie.
Yeah, one situation where I use Google Chrome is like Safari will no longer let me do text replacements, and I need those like when filling out the ACB community forms, and so Chrome will let me. So I use Chrome for that. So
Yeah, and for some reason, I cannot play the silly connections game from New York Times in Safari, but I can in Chrome. So go figure.
Brad?
Yeah, Brad.
I always use Safari to fill out the ACB forms, and it works perfect.
yeah, but
that's
do you
funny.
use text replacement?
No, I have not.
Yeah, that's my specific issue is text replacement, because I use text replacement for the constant fields like email, name, show title, things like that.
This is Cliff.
Yep.
Yeah, Cliff, go ahead.
Herbie, you know good and well you can just hit Command Shift A for autofill. Why don't you just use that?
It doesn't work.
Anyway, the text replacement does work for me. Now, I don't know if it's because I'm using a Mac Studio Ultra, but the text replacements that I have in mind does work on my Mac, iPhone, and iPad across the board. So I don't know if they're in the
Because it
setting
has
somewhere.
stopped while like it used to work just fine, and then more recently with one of the Mac Sonoma updates, it works everywhere else like a charm, but in Safari it just won't work for me, and I have
How
no
long
idea
ago
why.
was that?
Because yeah, I just rely on text.
He asked you how long ago that was. Do you remember?
It's been several months.
Okay. Yeah, because I just used it literally probably about 2 weeks ago, maybe.
I mean, I haven't tried it since the latest update, but yeah, but that was Chrome. Because like Chrome, I have no problems, but Safari, for some reason, it's like, and it doesn't have to be just Google. It can be anywhere, and I cannot use my text replacements. So
Now, do you use text replacement like for whole phrases or for just like email, like
I use it for both actually. So I use it for email. I have text replacement for email. I have it for my name. I have it for like the Herbie's Community Cooking Corner.
So why
I
wouldn't
have
it
it for like my
work?
phone number.
Well, then why wouldn't autofill work for the name and email and phone number? It doesn't work in that particular form.
Yeah, I've always had issues with autofill and it being reliable. And if
is it only that particular form though?
Where text replacement doesn't work or autofill?
Both.
Autofill, it's always finicky from form to form in general. I've never found it to be the most reliable. Sometimes it'll fill out things, or it'll fill out things in the wrong thing in you because different things are just coded different ways.
Right.
This is Brad.
Yep.
Yeah, Brad.
I'll agree with Herbie. It puts too much stuff in sometimes. I'll be in one field, and it'll populate and put stuff from my information, all over the place, and then I'm having to take it out because it doesn't belong there or something. So yeah, it does get a little carried away. But I'm on a certain field, like for my email, and I'll do Command Shift A, and then I'll find it's just populated all kinds of stuff everywhere.
Yep. And that's why I like text replacement because, I can, for instance, I use it in Zoom a lot to switch accounts, or I'll use it to, in the email, I type in HBA and it brings up my email address. I can type in HLN and it'll bring up Herbie Allen. I have two separate phone numbers, one for my requests line and one for my regular phone number. So depending on where I'm at, I can just put in 3 digits and it populates the phone number. And so I need it to... I rely on text replacement heavily, even on the Mac, so as much as the iPhone, and But I do have more... it's an Amadeus Pro question, actually.
All right, go ahead. Well, let's tell you what. Let's see if there are any other questions
but I do
before
have to run in about...
do you? All right, well then go ahead.
Real basic. It's a basic Amadeus Pro question, or maybe not. Is there a way in a file to set multiple markers and see the time between the two markers?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good one. Okay.
This is Cliff.
Yeah, Cliff.
I didn't have the answer when you asked it on the list earlier yesterday, and I don't have it today, but I have been digging. I will let you know that.
All right. Because
I do have a buddy of mine who actually told me about Amadeus Pro, and I haven't talked to him in a while, so I'll get that answer for you.
Because I have other ways of working around that, but I'd love to just be able to set the markers and see the time and do it that way. So.
Right. Okay. I have your contact. I'll let you know.
All right. Sounds good. Okay.
So you want to be able to set more than one marker.
Yes, because I'll give you an example. So my friend Nick will give me things where he'll have some opening music and then I need to put in a music bed for part of it, and it'd be a whole lot easier if I can just set the marker between where his music ends and where the next part begins, so I can just see the time frame between, and then see the time between those two markers and know how much music bed to use precisely. And there's other ways of working around that, but
when you figure that out, let me know. Go ahead, Cliff.
I was just gonna say, why don't you just use the go-to and just set the marker or set the time frame where you want with the markers, and you don't have to worry about what the time is in between.
So do what to set the time?
Go-to.
So Command G will put you put in the time, the beginning
because
time.
It'll tell me the time of the overall file. But I need to know the specific time from when the mark starts to when the...
when you're at a place in the file, you can do Command G, and that'll tell you where you're at.
I did, and I did that for and that tells me where I'm at in the file itself.
But what I'm saying is, if you do Command G and set your mark or bring playhead to where you want it, and then. If you know how long the music bed is, you can just set another marker to the end and bring the playhead to there, and then just paste over.
Right. The problem is it's the if I was, and that works well. If I'm starting from the beginning of the file to the spot where I want to start from, It's the problem is I'm starting the music bed in the middle of the file, so I need to see where something starts between 2 points in the middle of the file, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does, but you can also put a marker there and then go to the end of where the
Okay.
file is going to end and then just go back to the current marker with command shift or command left arrow and it'll go to that place marker and you can paste it in there. But I'll get that answer for you though for that
Yeah.
specific question.
Yep. Okay.
All right. Always good to know audio editing stuff. Even I have to get into it, editing my own recordings for the phone system. But anyway, who has another question? And it can be very basic. That's what we're here for. Or it can be advanced from...
This is Cliff.
Yeah, go ahead, Cliff.
Has anybody here played with Logic Pro on the Mac? I mean, I know there's a guy that does a lot of stuff on YouTube. He calls himself the Oreo Monster. I forgot what his real name is. But has anybody had success with Logic Pro on the Mac? Because I know it's a lot of gestures and stuff, but as everybody knows by now, well, not everybody, but you and Herbie and Brad do, I like to use a keyboard for everything, and that's what I'm trying to do with Logic Pro.
I've never
Anybody
really
here familiar with...
had around GarageBand, never mind Logic. I haven't tried Logic, but
Either.
I do know. I think I do know some. I think JC has played with Logic on the Mac. And I want to say Holly, Darcy's girl. I think both Holly and Darcy have used, or have they just used GarageBand? Actually, that's a good question. I might be able to get you some people that have used Logic. So.
All right, sounds like an exchange of resources will soon commence. Okay, sorry, Cliff, we can't be more helpful, but yeah, that's a sounds pretty cool, but way more advanced. Or I'm just
Gonna
not
have to
into
add
the
that to
music
your
production
repertoire,
thing.
Chanelle.
Yeah,
Add
right.
Add that to your Mac class.
Yeah.
I say Merv and Keck may have also played with Logic as well. So.
All right. Who would like to ask our next question?
This is Cliff.
Yeah, go ahead.
I hope I'm not straying too far off topic. It's a Zoom question on the iPad or iOS per se. Is there a way to stop those announcements like you can on the Mac, like people raising their hand in and out and stuff like that? Is there a place on the in iOS settings on the Zoom app to stop those prompts, or do you just basically have to deal with it?
Brad,
Yes, Brad.
I'm not aware of a way to turn them off like you can customize on the Mac. There's much more customization on the Mac. I find that when it's annoying me, I just three finger double tap and stop VoiceOver speech unless I'm needing to do something. But
This is Herbie.
Yes, Herbie.
I lock the screen also unless I need to actually, and I'll unlock it when I want to mute and unmute. And that's the only workaround I know of on the iPhone, at least. So I'd assume that's the case on the iPad.
This is Brad.
Yes, Brad.
If you are using AirPods Pro or AirPods 3, I believe will do it too, and same thing with the AirPod Max headphones, you can use the crown or squeeze the stem of the AirPods Pro or AirPods 3, and it will mute and unmute. I believe that started with iOS 17. Does the same thing on phone calls.
Yes, Herbie.
I just they recently introduced that with the Mac as well now. So now on the at least on the
okay.
Yes.
I will
Is
see.
that Yep. So now on the Mac you can use the crown to like the crown button on the AirPods Max to mute and unmute if your AirPods have the default microphone. So it's pretty cool, and that was
on
not the
all
case
AirPods or
No, just
probably not all of them, but
it's just the AirPods 3, the AirPods Pro 2. I'm not sure about AirPods Original Pro, and well, Originally, my understanding was it was the AirPods Pro 2 and the AirPod Max, and I believe it may do it with the AirPods 3 as well. But it was something that was
Cool.
introduced with when the AirPods 2 came out.
And what
It's
do
an
you mean by the
iOS.
crown?
Well,
So
on
on the
the
AirPods
AirPod Max
Max.
headphones, you have a crown, kind of like you have a crown on the watch.
Okay.
It's on top
Yeah.
of the right ear piece.
Hmm.
And on the AirPods Pro 2, you squeeze the stem.
All right.
It
Oh,
may not
okay.
do, it may not do it on the um
Original Pro.
on the AirPods 3. I need to try that. See.
Oh, okay. But
And
it
the,
should.
and I have tried it on the Mac and it did not work. So maybe it's a new feature
I only
that
noticed
Zoom
like
has
it.
it in.
Yeah, it's very recent. Like as I'd say, about a month. It was one of those things that I noticed after I think the Zoom Workplace update.
Okay.
Right
Okay,
here.
you're saying it only works if you're using the AirPods for your mic?
Microphone. Yes.
Oh, well, I don't do that. Yeah, okay. That could be one reason I haven't been able
That
to
could
do
be
it.
one way. Yeah.
I
That
am not
it.
using
Yes.
rarely am I using the AirPods
Right. Yeah. If you're using the
as my
AirPods as a
input.
microphone, it'll work. You know, as a mute and unmute toggle.
All right. Well,
Right here.
yes, Raheel.
So why is there no keyboard command to mute and unmute your speech like you can do with insert space and S with JAWS?
This is Herbie.
Yes, Herbie.
You can do it still with the trackpad with the 3-finger double tap.
This is
And you
Cliff.
can create a keyboard. Oh, go ahead,
You can
Cliff.
create
Are
one,
we
yes.
talking about the Mac or iOS?
The
Mac.
The Mac.
Mute and unmute speech? I could have swore there was. Isn't it voice
There's
over keys
not.
S?
No,
Okay.
there's
No.
not.
No.
Oh, that's right. I did have to create a commander for that. Okay.
Yep, you
I
did. You
created a
do.
keyboard
Yep.
commander
And
for
how
it.
do I do that?
You have to create a keyboard commander. And if you do that, you can go into your VoiceOver utility, go to commanders. You can do it with keyboard commander or numpad commander. You decide what you want it to be. For example, keyboard commander. I chose uppercase S. So that would be Option key Shift and the letter S. And then when you go to actions, there is a pop-up and a little like shortcut menu pops up with a bunch of categories. And off the top of my head, I can't tell you what
It is
category it is.
in
Under sound, isn't it?
sound.
Yeah.
Let me check. It was either in
And you'll
sound or
find it in there.
speech. Yeah. No, it's in speech.
Speech. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. One of those things I can find it pretty quick, but I can't tell you where it is. I know,
Yep.
Can anybody like walk me through
we just did.
via screen share or no? Or is that not?
No,
Or
I
is that
just told you what to do. Open keyboard commander, pick the letter that you want it to be. I chose uppercase S. And then when you VO to the next column, it wants to know what the action is. And you'll VO spacebar, it'll pop up and give you a little menu. And there's like 7 or 8 categories. Each category has a submenu that you open with the right arrow key and up or down till you find it. And we believe it's the speech category. It's either, I believe that's it. It's one of the ones towards the bottom of the list.
Yeah,
Not
it's
the
in
very
speech.
bottom in the second. Speech, okay.
Yep,
And
I
how
just
many are in
checked.
there? One of them's got like 90 something things in it. I don't think speech has that many. Maybe.
It's not saying. I was just.
Okay. Mine does when I land, or maybe when I open it, it tells me how many items there are in the submenu.
No,
But once I
just
did
saying
it, it
speech
was
submenu.
surprisingly easy
Yeah.
to do.
Okay. Yeah, it is. Yeah. Yep.
Just go in there and play with it. It's really pretty intuitive.
It is. Mine is capital M, and I have a mute sound toggle as well. So yeah, and that is in sound, but it's very, very useful to have your own command.
Yep.
All right, great question. And who would like to ask our next question?
This is Desi.
Yes, Desi.
So back to form filling out again.
Sure.
If you go into a form, I'm sure we covered this, but I don't remember because I hadn't had to do it in quite a while. Are there preferred methods of going through a form to fill it out? Like, do you use your arrow keys or the tab key, or what is the thing that is the most efficient?
This is
This
Brad.
is Jasmine.
Let's go to
Jasmine.
Jasmine. Let's go to
Yeah, go to
Jasmine.
Jasmine.
Okay, so I like to use VOJ, and if you're familiar with the form, you can use Tab, but Tab's not as responsive as far as giving you feedback from VoiceOver and letting you know like what control you're in.
Okay, so you just use VOJ every time you want to go to a new form field?
It takes you through all the controls.
I think
This is
that's
Brad.
VO
And
Command
then
J.
VO,
Yeah, I
yeah,
use
yep,
VO
VO Command
Command
J.
J, and it takes you to the next form element, which if
Okay,
you're filling out
gotcha.
a form, that's usually a form field. If there's a button or something else, and checkbox or radio button, it'll hit those too.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
But
VO
I
Command
use that
J.
a lot.
Excellent.
But I
Cool.
believe
And
Chanelle
if
said it
you
was
need,
controls. Like it's not just forms, like it's all the controls that it passes.
Yes.
So yeah,
Yep.
like you
that's
were saying,
different.
but
Yes, that's different.
So I find in most forms tab is usually sufficient, and then if I'm unclear on what the edit field is, then I will use my VO left and VO right arrows to see what I'm
Correct.
missing. But then again, to a lot of the forms I felt like the ACB form, for instance, I could just, I filled that thing out in like under a minute most of the time. So, because, those are very self explanatory as you tab through them. But, there are times when you might need to read. So it kind of really just depends on the form and how it's formatted, and that can matter too. But I usually use tab in most instances, but there are some forms that I do have to use VO left and VO right to read the fields because of how they're laid out. So,
Brad,
Yes, Brad.
on a lot of ACB forms, for example, the title of whatever the form is a heading.
yes.
So I can use VO Command H or Shift if I need to go backwards one, but usually I'm just going forwards. VO Command H will take me to the title of what the next form or group is, and then I can either VOJ, VO Command J, or VO right arrow to the actual form field where I type in the information, or VOJ will take me to radio buttons or checkboxes, things of that nature. VO Command J, excuse me.
And I use my little numpad and I press my 05 to go to the next heading, 04 to go to the previous heading, 07 for the previous form field, 08 for the next, or I think that's control. They're all control. Yeah. But anyway, that's another way of doing it. And then you can use quick nav, but that has its own perils, mainly forgetting to turn it off when you're done. But yeah.
This is Brad.
Yes, Brad.
Speaking of quick nav, when I learned to use the Mac the first year, 2 year, I was like all over quick nav.
Oh, I know. Me too.
As time went by, I tell you, I rarely use it. And now that I don't have to even turn quick nav on to access quick key navigation,
right?
I never turned it on.
This is Jasmine.
So
I don't either.
it's just interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
go ahead,
literally,
Jasmine.
I always just do the VO semicolon or I do the VOQ. And so I just use the quick keys or I just lock my VO keys.
There you go.
This is Herbie.
Yes, Herbie.
See, I actually just don't mind doing VO command. Honestly, like it doesn't bother me. So
It's too many keys for me.
It is for me
the
too.
The only time I find it annoying is when I'm eating in front of the computer. Then it's a nuisance, and then I'll use quick keys. But otherwise,
this is Brad.
Yep.
Okay, that's the only time I use quick nav. That way I can navigate a website and not have to take my hand off my coffee cup.
Yeah.
or whatever other beverage I might happen to be
eating pizza.
Depends on the time of the day.
I discovered early on if I'm eating pizza, I need to have that in one hand while navigating the Mac in the other. So.
This is Cliff.
Yes, Cliff.
I'm just lazy, so I just use it all the time.
There
So.
you go.
There's nothing wrong with that.
There's
Hey,
nothing wrong with
nothing
that.
wrong with that.
Plus the fact that I work, for Target Corporate, and I have the Logitech MX. I forgot what it's called, but anyways, it's compared with 3 devices, so I can navigate between my Mac and my I hate saying this word PC, and and not have any issues. But yeah. I know Chanelle loves that because she still use. Don't you still use a PC? No,
Oh yeah, I do.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm throwing you under the bus. Yeah,
that's okay. That's okay. I can take it. I can take it.
I still use mine too. So Windows has its perks.
I don't even have one, and I don't ever want one again. So there you have it.
Well, since we all love the Mac, do we have any other Mac questions? I can just share. The other day, I was trying to. So I'm having to decide what to do about my Office subscription, and I was trying to. There's a thing I typically do in Excel, but I thought, okay, I'm going to try this in Numbers, and so I was thinking, okay, Excel, or you can press like Control-1 to bring up the number format box. So why wouldn't Command-1 work? Not quite. In Numbers, you actually have to go find the formatter bar, and fortunately, you can VOJ over there. And I think hopefully there is a way like in Pages, you can use the function keys for certain styles or whatever. So maybe there's a way, hopefully Numbers, to create a shortcut if you access certain things frequently in that formatting bar. But that's one thing I learned. You have to go to the format bar if you want to apply different formats for Numbers. Like I wanted to change a column to be date, to have the date, a certain date format. So anyway, anyone else have a question?
This is Cliff.
Yeah, Cliff.
It's not a question, just a little tidbit like you just shared. I'm not a big fan of. Let me rephrase. I used to not be a big fan of the extended keyboard, but since I've been using the numpad commander, it's my best friend now. But one of the best things that I love about the extended keyboard is the fact that it has a control key on both sides. And my new favorite shortcut is Command 5 that takes you directly into the toolbar. Not only does it take you to that toolbar, but it automatically interacts you, so you don't have to VO shift down arrow also. So Command 5.
In any app?
In any app.
Oh. Wow. Cool.
Let me confirm that, or make sure that's the right button, because it might be.
Is that Command? I think it's Control 5.
That's what I meant. Control 5. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know what you meant.
5.
See?
Let me go over here and make sure it's Control 5 and. Oh, quit doing that. Nope, it's Command F5. I'm sorry, or Control F5. It's Control
F5. Yes.
Yes. So that will take you to the toolbar in any app. And like I said, not only does it take you to the toolbar, but it automatically interacts with it, so you can just VO left or right arrow to see what your options are.
As long as it's got a toolbar.
This is Desi.
Yeah, go ahead, Desi.
So that works only if you have it set up in the numpad commander, right?
Well, no, this is the numpad commander is a totally different thing. Control F5 will work in any app, no matter what, as long as you haven't, because I made this mistake one time, as long as you haven't disabled that option in your keyboard in system settings.
This is Brad. It's a macOS command. And you can find these by going to System Settings, Keyboard, and then there's a button that says Shortcuts, and you will open up another window, I guess, or dialogue, whatever you want to call it. It's a window, actually. And on the left-hand side of the window is you interact with, it's a column, a table of one column of categories. And I cannot remember what they call it. Key shortcuts, I believe.
Shortcuts, yeah.
Yeah, and you'll find them. And the one Cliff's talking about is I turned it off. Control F1 turns on and off these keyboard commands. So I disabled that one so I can't accidentally turn them off.
That's a good idea.
And then
I
you
should
have
do
such
that.
things as Control F2 will put focus on the menu bar, which I never use because I use VOM, and Control F3 will put focus on the dock, which of course there's a VoiceOver command for that. You could play with it. I don't use them that much. There's a few like what Cliff was talking about to put focus on the toolbar. But there's some good ones in there. But it's
Now,
certainly worth taking a look at.
Now, may I ask though, Cliff, I mean, do you find much of a need to go into a toolbar? Because so many of the things that we use are like just in the menu bar or have keyboard shortcuts. So do you find yourself needing to use a toolbar very often?
Not a whole lot, but it's convenient when it does.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Okay. Well, thanks for the tip. I'll have to try that.
Raheel?
Yes, Raheel.
Chanelle, I noticed when I power up my Mac that the Mac opens up the Finder automatically, but it doesn't open up a document. But like if it opens up a Finder, it takes you to the Finder screen. But isn't there a way to close all the Finders, or does it open up the Finder when you turn and power on the Mac itself?
Do you remember us talking about Finder in class? And remember I said it was the one app that always stays open on your Mac. And lately though, my Mac, even though I close all my Finder windows, lately my Mac has been booting up with some of my like a recent Finder window open. So you can have the Finder open, which is just your desktop. The main part of the Finder is your desktop, the home screen. But if you also have new Finder windows that typically contain folders. You can have one folder open in one window or several tabs open in one window, but each tab has a folder. And so those can be open in the Finder. When you power on your Mac, you want to make sure that, when you shut it down, you want to make sure, first that you shut it down correctly by going into the Apple menu. You don't just turn it off. You go into the Apple menu, and then you make sure that the checkbox to relaunch apps when starting up is unchecked.
Unless you want them to relaunch.
You want them to relaunch. I mean, Finder will relaunch no matter what, but yeah, I don't. But yeah, this
is Brad.
Go ahead, Brad.
Well, I was going to say before Raheel, I've been experiencing that same thing, Chanelle.
Okay,
I believe it's a bug in Sonoma. It doesn't do it every time, but I have a habit. I close out everything before I shut down. I close any Finder window that's open, and sometimes when I reboot, and I will say it happens on my MacBook Pro because I tend to shut that one down every day, but sometimes more than once a day. Whereas my Mac Studio, I have to remember to just shut it down only so I can reboot it about every 10 days or so. But on the MacBook Pro, yes, I will turn it on and there's a Finder window, and it is the last Finder window I had open. So I believe that's some kind of bug in.
Okay.
Of course, there's the question: is it a bug or is it a feature? I think it's a bug.
I think it's a bug too.
Yeah.
It's
and another way
annoying.
to explain Finder. Finder is the user interface, the graphical user interface between the user and the operating system. So it's like on Windows Explorer. It has to be running. You cannot shut it down. And even if you go to force quit, you can force quit an app that's not responding for some reason. But Finder, if you select Finder, then the button does not say force quit. It says relaunch. So you cannot not have Finder running. It's impossible.
Yeah, because I've been noticing that, how I used to have the old MacBook Pro, which I unfortunately traded in, but you know how when you get alerts and it makes that like doo doo noise, and then it sometimes it still does that even though there's no alert. It used to do that when there's even though there's no alert. It still made
Well,
that
you can
same.
always check for your alerts. If you hear those strange sounds, you can always go check through your alerts with VO F1 to look to see if there's any system dialogues. Also, you can bring up your notification center with VOO.
Okay.
This is
Thank
Brad.
you.
I have
Yeah,
been
Brad.
hearing that sound frequently, like almost every time when power up the MacBook Pro, type in my password, and it goes to the desktop. I will hear that sound. So there's something. That's another funny thing I'm noticing consistently in Sonoma.
I was about to
This
say,
is
I'm sorry.
Jasmine. Yeah, I
Okay,
was gonna say.
Jasmine and then Cliff.
Oh, I was just gonna say that I've been experiencing the Finder issue. I haven't experienced the like alert sound with no actual alert, but
Okay, good to know. Okay, and Cliff?
I was just gonna say, I have some sighted family, and I called them over one time when that annoying noise was making it, or that noise was doing it, and they said that there's a window that's behind VoiceOver. So when you do VO F1 twice. I always forget what it is because I actually have a commander for it. Told you I was lazy, but
It's
yeah, I have
the open app chooser.
right, exactly. I have a commander for it that just takes me
Yeah.
directly to the alert. So, but yeah, they say that there's a window behind a window that's not allowing the voiceover cursor to see it right away. So that's why sometimes you have to kind of command tab around and then do that VO F1 twice to get to those alerts. So,
Yep.
and what is the Finder thing? I had got a call because I'm working at the same time. But what is the Finder issue?
Some of us were saying how when we close every single window that's open in the Finder, and I double checked, but they're closed, and then we restart, and the most recent windows are open, like
Isn't
we
there a
didn't close them.
checkbox? Isn't there a checkbox that you can
Yeah,
uncheck?
Yep,
there.
it's unchecked.
yep, and it's
Yeah,
unchecked.
Okay.
this
Yep.
is a Sonoma bug, I guess.
And
That
I find it's a Finder window, not just another app. It's always a Finder window, and it's the
yeah,
last one I
yeah,
had
Yes.
open.
yep. Even if I like do my Command Option W several times just to close everything,
Yeah.
it's still
Mm-hmm.
yep. So glad I'm not the only one. All right. Okay, does anyone have any other questions or strange Mac behavior that's really being irksome?
This is
Um,
Desi. Oh, go ahead, someone.
I was just gonna say, yeah, so this is Jasmine. I was just
Go
gonna
ahead.
say that were y'all talking about the AirPods having the ability to mute and unmute in Zoom?
Mm-hmm.
Is that because I tried it and all it did was activate Siri. They're
Oops.
AirPods Pro 2s.
Oh. Okay, does anybody know, is there something special she has to
This is
do to
Cliff.
go ahead, Cliff?
I think you have to go into your AirPods settings and set up how you want it to do because I have mine set up to click it twice for the mute toggle. It's
Hmm.
and you have to go in there and you have to tell it what toggle you want it to use. So if you have it to activate Siri, then the mute toggle is not going to work. So you have to go double check in your Zooms or not Zoom, but your AirPods settings on how you want Zoom or mute to work for that toggle.
Okay, and then is that similar? Does it transfer over from your phone? Like if you've already set it up on your
No,
phone, or you
No,
have to? Okay,
no.
no.
okay,
It doesn't get that good.
all right,
That'd be too much like right, especially with Zoom.
right.
I'm and I just now tried it. I switched over to my Mac, and I'm finding. Of course, I'm not using my AirPod Max as my input device, so I cannot push the crown to mute and unmute. So I have to switch and see what happens if I make the AirPod Max the.
I heard it didn't work with the Mac.
I never had it work. Herbie said it started working, so
Well,
I've
I
not
don't
been
have the
able to get
Maxes
it
no
to
more,
work.
so
Well, okay, your Herbie's text replacement doesn't work, but yours does. So I guess
Yeah,
his
they're
mute
very
thing
good.
works.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So our Macs are just being mystery
Mystery
little
Max.
mystery Macs. Yeah. Okay, but I think Desi had a question. So go ahead,
Well,
Desi.
I was just gonna ask, excuse me, if Brad could tell us about his Mac Studio, because I've heard that name. I know it's another kind of a Mac, but what is the difference between the Mac Studio and like
A
a Mac
mini.
Mini or
It is a
even
Mac.
a
It is a
MacBook?
Mac Mini on steroids.
Okay.
It is a Mac Mini. The Mac Mini currently, I believe it has. They haven't moved it up to the M3 yet, but there's one like the one you have with the M2 processor,
Right.
and then they have another model with an M3. I mean, with the M2 Pro, and it also gives you 4 Thunderbolt ports instead of just 2. Everything else is pretty much the same. The Mac Studio is
We're
getting some
getting some
good
really weird
feedback.
echo there,
Yeah,
Brad.
where?
Yeah, I don't know. Anyhow, the Mac Studio is taller, mostly because it has a fan in it. And it comes with either the right now they're only on M2 also. They have gone M3. It has the M2 Max or the M2 Ultra. I have the original with the M1 Max. And then on the back, the ports are the same as the M2 Pro Mac Mini in that you get 3 Thunderbolt / USB-C ports, 2 USB-A, and HDMI. It has an Ethernet port. Now on the Mac Mini, there's an option to upgrade the Ethernet port to what is it? 10 gigabit. And the Mac Studio only has the 10 gigabit option. And it has on the front, depending upon whether you get the M1 Max version or the the Max or the Ultra version, you have 2 additional ports on the front. If you have the one that comes with the M2 Max, you get 2 USB-C ports and an SD card slot on the front. If you have the M2 Ultra version, those 2 USB-C ports are Thunderbolt / USB-C ports on the front. And then I believe the heat sink that's on top of the chip. I can't remember. Maybe Cliff can help me out. I think one of them, it's on the Max processor, I believe it is aluminum. And on the Ultra, it is copper because that Ultra is going to produce more heat. Anyway, the thing is about as tall as 2 Mac Minis sitting on top of each other. And then other than that, the X and Y directions, depth and width, are the exact same, 7.5 inch square.
Oh, interesting. So,
And that's the difference.
Does the studio have its own speaker or speakers?
Yeah, it's got the same crappy one like your Mac Mini does.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, thanks.
Yeah, it does. But and it starts at $19.99, and then of course you can, I think it starts with I can't remember the RAM. I think it was
16.
Is it 6? No, it's 32 for the
Oh, is it? Yeah, you're right. The Ultra
yeah, for
starts
the
at
Mac
32.
and for the Max, and I can't remember what it is if you get the Ultra, probably double. Everything double from Max to Ultra. And I believe it starts with a 512.
I'm looking at mine now. Yep,
yeah,
64.
512 gigabyte hard drive and SSD, and you can go all the way up to 8, which are out. You can buy a house for what they want for 8
Come on, Brad.
gigabyte
You got that
SSD.
$12,000. Come on.
Yeah, they're out. They're out. It's a hefty upcharge.
You're
you
in
can
Dallas.
buy a
I'm in
lot
Killeen.
of
Send it over.
external drives.
I said, you're in Dallas. I'm in Killeen. Send it over. You got me.
Yeah, well, I buy an estate and clean, whatever. But no, it's anyway, it's a nice machine. So
Okay, thanks. I was just curious because I've heard you mention your Mac Studio before, but I thought, what is that? So now,
And then, Brad, you were mentioning, I noticed you were saying the Finder issue was on your Mac Pro, but it's not on your Mac Studio?
I rarely shut down the Mac Studio.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
okay.
I went to Houston over the weekend. I didn't even turn it off, but that was because I had it running something. Usually if I go out of town for a few days, I turn it off. But generally, when I'm home, it goes months without being turned off. I will reboot it every week or 10 days, close everything that's running and do a full shutdown. And then even turn off the APC box. So I kill the electricity feeding the thing. And then I turn it back on. I figure it just clears the RAM and it starts over, so I
The
don't
only
have
time
that.
I do it is when there's an update.
Yeah, well, I I just do it because I figure it's good to clear the RAM, start over. I don't want that Patriot missile rounding error problem. So, you guys, it's a joke. But
And how does clearing the RAM work on a
you just
laptop
shut
like
it.
that?
You just shut it. Shut the computer down. Turn the RAM is volatile memory. That means it only holds what it holds as long as there's electricity running through it. And if you power the machine off, and on a desktop, I'll even turn off the power box. So, it's got
Oh, okay.
no electric, and you wipe it. So it clears the RAM and then you reboot.
So it'd be the same, like unplug totally. If a laptop, you would unplug the laptop,
Well, the
or
laptop has a battery, so it's not the same
okay,
thing.
okay,
But in theory, it shouldn't matter.
right.
You just shut it down. And I find I like even shutting down as opposed to restarting, because
Yeah, I do that sometimes too.
restarting doesn't shut the power off. It just restarts the
Right.
operating system. So I want to
Yeah.
shut the power off to it.
Yeah, I like to do that once in a while. I mean, I don't think that you need to as much as you probably did back in the day, but once in a while it's, if you
And
are able to, why not?
Macs are extremely power, saving. Well, I can't
Mhm.
remember the right word, Energy Star. And so when they're sitting there, well, of course, I've been having mine. I signed up for Backblaze, and because I got like four external hard drives, and I've got a lot of OTR that I can't replace. And I just decided I want this stuff backed up in the cloud continuously. And it took it several days to upload everything to the cloud, and it was still doing it. I also learned I needed to go to my energy saver and told it to not go to sleep when the monitor turned off, because I realized that's how come I wasn't getting anywhere uploading this stuff. So,
Right.
but anyway, that's one I just leave it on all the time, and I'm not paying for Backblaze on any other machine, just that one, because the other one uses iCloud, and so that's in iCloud. There's nothing really on the MacBook Pro. If I were to lose the whole computer, I'm not going to lose much because nothing's on it
What's
really.
Backblaze? I'm sorry.
Backblaze is an online backup.
Okay.
It's $99 a year, unlimited. It will back up. I'm waiting to see if it'll even back up what's in my iCloud drive. It says it backs up everything on your computer. And then I have 4 external drives connected to the Mac Studio. So, and one of them's a 14 terabyte, a 8 terabyte, a 5 terabyte, and a 2 terabyte. And so it supposedly will back them up as long as it detects that they are always connected to your computer, which they are. And so that way, all that stuff is backed up in the cloud, because I don't trust external drives. They can tend to go bad.
Yeah.
They give you warning, but you tend to sometimes ignore those warnings. So, and I have just collected a lot of stuff over the past several years that would be a traumatic loss. So I just figured it's worth backing it up. There's other services, but I've been shopping around. I decided to go with this one. We'll see how it goes.
All right. Anybody else have a question about just Mac maintenance, backup services? Are there any particular things some of you like to do to back up your Macs? Um, we've kind of been going off here. Or do you want to go back to square one and ask just a question on anything? We're here for a little while yet, so feel free to
No,
ask
I want to go
anything.
back to square one. This is Melissa, and I was going to sign up for
Oh,
your class.
hi,
So I,
Melissa. Welcome.
and I might still sign up for your class. So I am trying to learn a lot of the commands, the shortcuts, because my vision is getting worse. So is there a good way to be able to do that so you don't feel overwhelmed? Because I've gotten like the command, command option 8, and that can zoom stuff in and out. So I'm just looking for ways to kind of to learn this stuff without feeling like I'm learning a new language.
This is
Oh,
Jasmine.
yeah, go ahead, Jasmine.
So in your menu bar, like on your different apps, like depending on which app you're in, it'll actually show you the different keyboard shortcuts as well that are associated with what you're doing, like as you're navigating the menu
Oh,
bar.
And this is her.
Yes, Herbie.
keyboard shortcuts in my
One of the
menu
things.
bar, right?
Yep.
Yes.
And one of the
For the-
things that we emphasize is, I mean, you kind of in a way are learning a little different language, but one thing we emphasize is that a lot of the shortcuts that we teach are it can be Mac specific. They're not necessarily voiceover specific. So,
Okay.
so for instance, there's a lot of like, for instance, Command N is
Yeah.
one I drill into people. That is a command that you would use even if you're not using a screen reader, or a Command Com to settings. Those are all.
How do you learn these, Herb?
Well, one, you sign up for Chanelle's class. That's a good way.
And Jasmine just mentioned them by going
Yeah.
into the menu bar.
Okay.
Yes.
And our class is mainly focused on voiceover, so
Yeah.
unfortunately, I don't know how to help you with the zoom, the magnification, and all that. So we've just
This
focused on voiceover. But
this
go
is
ahead, Brad.
Brad.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to you know add to it or reinforce what Herbie said. What it is there are two, what I call two categories of keyboard commands. There are Mac
Okay.
OS keyboard commands,
Yeah.
and that's you will find a lot of those. Those are not uh, they're not specific to VoiceOver. They work whether or not you are using VoiceOver, and you
Okay.
will find a lot of those in the pull down menus. Um, and let's see, are you not using VoiceOver? You're still using screen magnification, I
I
believe you said.
am, well, I am kind of using a little bit of, I use select all when I want it to read my emails. I'm
Right, I
kind of in this
understand. I understand.
weird little
But a lot of
area.
those are Mac OS keyboard commands. So in any given app, if you go
Yep.
to the menu bar, obviously
Okay.
that Apple menu is on the far left. That's a
Yep.
system menu. It's
Okay.
always there. Then to the right of that is a menu that has some, it will say the name of your current app, be it Finder is the operating system,
Oh, yeah.
Mail is Mail, Safari is your one, a browser.
Yeah.
And then to the right of there, in and they're not always there, but they're usually there. File, edit, view. You'll find a Go menu if you're in Finder, and that will take you to different locations, also known in other platforms as folders, drives, things of that. And you'll find shortcuts to like your home folder, the downloads folder. Various locations will have a keyboard command. But if you go through those menus, and they'll be different if you use text edit or mail,
Okay.
pages, you will find Mac OS keyboard commands for those apps. Now, a lot of them you're going to find use some of the same commands. Obviously, copy, paste.
Yeah.
Those are the same pretty much universally. Now, VoiceOver, when you come time to move on to that, VoiceOver has a keyboard help, and you can turn it on and just start pressing keys, and you can, it'll tell you the VoiceOver command or even just whatever the keyboard you press. Now, as far as keyboard commands, I've been doing this a long time. I've been
I could
teaching
tell.
people a long time, like more than 20 years. You cannot possibly learn all the keyboard commands. I
Yeah.
don't know them all. What you learn is the ones you use. And after a while, they become second nature to you. When I teach, I would try to teach somebody 5 keyboard commands. Okay, let's write them down in some kind of a format you can access. Digital people, low vision, still like to write things down with a 2020 pen, things like that. And then you start using those 5 commands to the point that you know them, and then we'll introduce 5 more, and you start building. And before long, you'll know 20, 30 commands that you're using on a, almost everyday basis. Maybe not every day, but a lot of them. So you learn it slowly over time, but you cannot sit down one day and go, okay, I'm going to learn every one of these and I'm going to start learning them today. Nope, don't do that. You'll drive yourself crazy.
Okay, so
And
when I get into an app, I just want to, because I've been working with a trainer, it's kind of been a hard deal going on here. So, like I use Google, I use Safari. I'm just telling you, are these the commands in all of these apps
Pretty much
then?
the same.
Okay,
Google,
okay.
Safari. I would say there's some commands that may be a little different. I can't think of one right now. The ones
That's
I
fine.
use are pretty much the same on any browser.
Probably the biggest difference that I can think of, and Jasmine and Marcy will appreciate this little bit because I really stumped somebody a couple weeks ago. So in a lot of things like mail, messages, text edit, you'll do Command N to create a new document, but in Safari, you don't do Command N to create a new thing. You do Command L to bring up your address bar.
But actually,
you
Command
can.
N is a new thing. It's a new window.
Yes, it is.
It's a new Command N is a new of whatever it
Yep.
is in that. If it's a word processor, it creates a new
And-
document. If it's mail, it creates a new mail message. If it's Safari, it creates a new browser window.
And Finder, it's a new window as well. So yeah, it's whatever it is.
Correct.
Calendar, contacts, again, the same thing.
But yeah, going back to learning the Mac, that's definitely Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brad.
No, that's because Apple. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was going to say, AppleViz has a lot of good resources. AppleViz.com, correct?
That's where all their syllabus assignments come from.
But again, it's generally for VoiceOver users. So, and if you're beginning to lose your vision, or you're beginning your vision loss journey, it would behoove you to go ahead and begin to learn a screen reader, because as your vision begins to, deteriorate, it's a continuum.
Yeah, I know.
And it will make your life much easier to learn to use your ears and not struggle to continue to do things the way you had been doing them, by looking and seeing them. Take that from me. I still have a little bit of vision, but when it comes to the computer, I am 100% screen reader. I no longer use any magnification. I do reverse the colors because I don't like looking at a web browser, email, any application that has a bright white background, because that's very disturbing to me. I can't read what's on the screen. I see a black background and I see all these little white things that I know are words, but I can't read them. But I'm listening to my screen reader. I'm 100% screen reader. Takes a while.
This is John.
You're not going to do it overnight.
No, and I'm cool with that. I think what it is, I've been a high partial, and now it's, for whatever reason, my retina has been deteriorating. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, this is John from BC, Canada.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, as a friendly reminder, it's also good. So if you're a low vision user, like, you can access the Apple support web pages, and the Apple support videos, and even Apple accessibility. So if you have a Mac, you can go contact Apple accessibility, and you can share your screen with them.
John, I went in there with it, and they're willing to help me. They set up some of my shortcuts. So I am trying to take advantage of them, because I kind of feel like I'm really not getting this. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
This is Brad. I don't waste my time with them. I find they don't really know much about the accessibility compared to someone who uses it every day and 100% depends on it. You're lucky if you find someone who, is familiar with using it on an everyday basis. But I find it, with any luck, they know what it is and they know a little bit about it. But I don't waste my time with them. There are resources on your Mac, the user's guide, there's VoiceOver, and you can learn a lot from that. But
The user guide, Brad, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, you could get to it through the help menu. VoiceOver has a help VOH, and you can find a command reference, the VoiceOver section of the user's guide. Can be accessed that way. There's a keyboard way of getting to it. VO ? will also open it.
Okay.
It's just a web-based little utility that pops in from the right-hand side of the screen. If you could see it, you'll see it do that. But anyhow.
And I think I'm sorry, I was muted. I was trying to. I think too, like John, I agree with Brad that the Apple people don't always know. They're not users of the technology as we are, but the documentation on their website will definitely be helpful. And, if you did take the class, there will definitely be a structure of learning. I mean, it may go, it is primarily, it is solely taught with VoiceOver, so it might be a little fast, but we're definitely, willing to answer your questions. And if you practice and if you're able to, listen to the recordings over again, you will get it.
Chanelle,
We
I
have
think I'm
people at
going to
different
take it
levels
next
and
time. I think I
okay.
want to take it because I think it's going to help me. I probably should have taken it this time, but when do you start the next one? And I'm not trying to hog time. Go ahead.
It's fine. September.
Okay.
September. And
Just-
we'll still have your application. In the meantime, just keep
Okay.
coming back to this call if you play with your Mac and have questions.
Okay.
We also have a call every the first and third Tuesdays of the month from 5 to 6 p.m. where my husband runs that and he can answer. So we're here if you have questions. And good luck.
Okay, thanks.
Chanelle?
Sorry. Okay, thanks, guys.
Yes.
Oh, so this is John again. So for the low vision people, I had a question like, can they take advantage of Mac? Is it Max? Sorry, iTunes U, where they can learn to use the Mac, or is it not being
I
used
don't.
anymore?
This is Brad.
Go ahead, Brad.
iTunes you generally, you are taking a course. A lot of universities may have continuing ed, and there are other resources that may use it. And basically, material is posted on there. You may be able to go there and search for other stuff, but I don't. I've never really used it for that. Learning the Apple Viz is an excellent resource, and the Apple Online User's Guide, both for the Mac in general, the operating system, and a VoiceOver. The VoiceOver one is excellent. If you are in, for example, the Mac, the VoiceOver utility, or even just system settings, in the lower right corner, or if you VO end, there is a button that says help. If you select that button, it will open the Mac User's Guide to the page that tells you about what is on that system settings page, or the page, the screen you're looking at in the VoiceOver utility, and it will explain what every item on that screen does. So that's a really good resource too when you're learning. But that's only in system settings and VoiceOver utility.
Welcome back. Welcome back to the VoiceOver.
And we are hearing your voiceover.
And that's another good way to learn.
Definitely.
To learn to get to use it.
Left arrow key.
Yep. I am going to mute you so we don't hear the voiceover, but definitely that tutorial, I always have students go through that for the first time. And so
first day.
Yeah. Even if generally you kind of have to be able to turn VoiceOver on to be able to, use the class or get started. But even so, it's a good idea just to go through the tutorial just to get the basics down. So,
This is Cliff.
Yeah, Cliff.
I could have swore they discontinued or stopped updating iTunes U a couple of years ago.
I thought so too.
I think they did too. You're right. I know Matt used it for when I took the iPad class, but that's the last time I looked at it.
Right.
was
I think it was
2018, 2019.
Right. I think it was 2020 when they discontinued it.
It may not even be on the iPhone anymore. I'm not sure.
And this is Herbie.
Yes, Herbie.
Yeah, first of all, this is painful. I'm having to agree with Cliff, but I
Wow.
thought
I know it hurts.
it
Sorry.
does. Ugh.
All right.
But I was also going to say, I would imagine, and I could be wrong on this. One of the challenges of what I think would be teaching a low vision Mac course is I don't know if you could just as easily take into consideration like people's different vision levels and things like that. So I would imagine that would be present
This is
a
Brad.
bit of a
That is
challenge.
exactly right. I dealt with that because mostly what I dealt with for many, many years was people who were losing their vision, and everyone is different.
Yep.
And so even as someone who was low vision, it was, everyone's different. And, everyone goes through that transition vision loss differently. So that's the main thing that I learned from it was just accept the fact that what worked for me doesn't necessarily work for anybody else. And, everyone is unique and everyone is different. You just have to, listen to the student, see what their needs are, see where they are on the continuum, and go from there. It is not something just like learning the screen reader. It's not something you learn overnight. It took a while to get used to it. Constant learning process.
And the more I find too, the more you actually, for me, I really had no motivation to at first use my Mac except for using it, learning it enough to install Windows on it. Then I was asked to teach this class, and I found, oh, I actually need to practice. I get really efficient, and then it became, oh, I've got to stream for ACB, stream and do Clubhouse. So that was another use for the Mac. Oh, I discovered that the numpad commander is really wonderful and makes using my Mac even more better. So you have to find things for Herbie. It was wanting to do things with music and with wanting to multitask, so he could be on two different calls at once on the same Mac while watching baseball and listening to music and doing homework. Yeah.
Being able to answer text messages in the Mac came really in handy. Not really the question.
That's what I
when are we
hear.
going to get an iPad version of the Mac? Then.
So we all have to have find our motivations for using it, and the more you figure out what that is, it could just be have a device where you can check email and go online, and even if those things are easier on your phone or another device or easier with vision, you want to be able to challenge yourself. Okay, I'm going to spend 10 minutes on the Mac doing such and such, or 15 minutes. And like, or Brad said, picking out those commands. The lessons, unfortunately, in the class will cover a lot of stuff. But if you just pick out, a few points that are relevant for you and the way you use the Mac, then that will definitely help. So, I think the bottom line is we all just have our own ways of learning and doing, and what works for you probably won't work for me, but that's okay. So with that, I don't know if we only have about 2 minutes. So yeah, let's see. We welcome everybody to come to the iBug events. It's iBugs Live, where they're talking about we are talking about shopping on Thursday from 7 to 9 p.m. The iBug movie on Friday, beginning at 7:15. It's iBug Unplugged on Saturday. Mm-hmm. And then back here next Tuesday Monday is iBug Buzz and Tuesday is the Mac Buzz.
So. Yep. First and third Tuesdays.
Yep.
And sometimes we do have opportunities on the Mac Buzz for demos, not all the time, but so you never know what you might learn and what I'll be inspired to demo based on people's questions. So definitely come to it. And that's at 5 Central, 6 Eastern, 3 Pacific. and I hope to see you all there.
All right. And let's see. Today is when is our next Mac and Talk? Well, it'll be the last Tuesday in June.
Will be the 26th. Let's see. Yeah, no, let's see. Yeah, 26th of. It'll be 26th of June.
All right.
Isn't that it? Yeah.
Yep. Oh, 25th maybe.
25th, because 27th is a Thursday. So yeah.
Yeah, 25th.
That's right.
All
Because
right.
there's 31 days in May. Today minus
Yep.
3. Yep.
Yep. Oh, that's a good trick. Today minus
Depending
3.
on how many days are in the month. If there's 30, it's today minus 2 if it's 31. And February, just forget it. You just have to figure out when's February on your own.
I should know that. All right.
Well,
Well, great.
February,
we learned something
it's the
new.
same date.
Yeah.
Because there's 20, unless there's 29, then it's today minus 1.
Okay. There we go. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a great night, and we will see you at another iBug event.
Thank you, Chanelle.
Bye.
Thank you. You guys have a great night as well.
You too.